But I'm going to tell you, the comments by Drew Brees really cut me deep today. And first, let's hear what he said.
I will never agree with anybody disrespecting the flag of the United States of America or our country. Let me just tell you what I see or what I feel when the national anthem is played and when I look at the flag of the United States. I envision my two grandfathers who fought for this country during World War II, one in the Army and one in the Marine Corps, both risking their lives to protect our country and to try to make our country and this world a better place.
No way, no how, Drew Brees, are we accepting that any longer. You are not, NOT, going to change the narrative. This is not about the flag. Stop it already with this nonsense. Drew Brees is a part of the problem. Those comments are disingenuous and wrong. That's what they are. Anyone listening, if anyone brings up the flag, you should denounce them. You should discount them, and you should discard them. It's an excuse. That's all it is. Colin Kaepernick has said 1,000,000 times it's not about the flag. Why in the world would that be your narrative? That be your conversation after George Floyd was murdered at the hands of a white policeman in full view? How dare you bring up the military? It's about racial injustice. It's about police brutality. That is going to be the conversation. You will not take this from us. People have taken the streets. I know he gave money and Drew Brees helped New Orleans, and I heard all those stories. I don't want to hear them today. I want Drew Brees to denounce racism, denounce social injustice, and talk about the issue at hand. Stop it. And this whole thing, when people bring up the military, your patriotism, I'm sorry, is not going to hide your racism. You can't use it. And let's talk about the military. This is only the military, and being proud of the military is only a white thing? Patriotism? People want to say black people aren't patriotic? We're the most patriotic. Are you ready? We make up 12% of the population. 40% of the military, 40, is of black and brown people. How dare you? We went to the military and served our fathers, grandfathers. And they had to fight during segregation. Black troops over there, white troops over there fighting for the same country, and came back here and were treated like dirt. It pains me when people try to use patriotism as some sort of defense and like you can't challenge it. Yes, we can. And Drew Brees, you are wrong. I don't want to hear it. Drew Brees today is Exhibit A as what's wrong with this country. Talk about what we're talking about. Listen to the plight that we live every day. I have a great job. I'm educated. I have those same fears that all the other black guys have of being stopped by cops on the side of the road at night, not knowing what's going to happen to me. These are real fears. Stop acting like they aren't. They are. And when you talk about love for one's country, to love one's country, that country must love you back. All we want to do is be treated equally and not have our lives snuffed out because they don't matter. Stop with that all lives matter. That's not what we're talking about. We're losing way too many unarmed black people for no reason. So I'm not going to accept it. And I'm going to denounce anybody who tries to use this as an excuse. It's lame. It's terrible. It's null and void this time around. They did it with Colin Kaepernick the first time 4 years ago. He tried to warn us what was going on in this world, and nobody wanted to listen. We're going to listen this time. I want everybody. Listen to the message. Listen to the people that live in fear every day. This ain't no hoax. Real life, Fred Rogan.
Well, Rob, here's the thing. And that was impassioned, and I think it was well said. I actually also think it's a bit unrealistic. It's a bit unrealistic, and I think Drew Brees, those comments just don't represent Drew Brees. They represent a good number of people in this country. Now, if you look at me, and in full disclosure, Rob and I have been friends for a while, and Rob does my TV show in L.A., and he does our radio show as well, and I'm thrilled that you invited me to sit in today. Rob would be the first one to tell you that I'm not black. I grew up in Detroit. I was born in Detroit, but I'm not black. And I have to tell you something. I have absolutely no idea, and it would be disingenuous for me to claim I do, to tell you I know what it's like to be black. I know how I feel. I know how I perceive people, but I don't know. I don't know what it's like to walk in your shoes. And anytime somebody, as Drew Brees did, tries to change the narrative, or Grant Napier, who lost his job as the play-by-play man for the Sacramento Kings, when he said all lives matter. They do. All lives do matter. But we're not talking about that here. We're talking about something entirely different. We're talking about what it is like to be black in America. And quite frankly, the majority of us don't know what that's like. And until we can try, as a group, to put ourselves in someone else's shoes, you talk about fear. The fear is real. Rob, I only know my own fear. I don't know the fear you live. I don't understand that. So what is going on in our country right now after the murder that took place in Minneapolis?
And that's what it was, Fred. You saw it. We all saw it.
Oh, Rob, absolutely. Not even, it was as heinous as anything anyone had ever witnessed. And by the way, that goes on all the time. It's just not always captured on camera. There's a lot of things that have gone on in our country for many years, long before everybody had a cell phone. In Los Angeles, we show car chases all the time. If there's a car chase, we put it on TV. And people go, oh, good God, I've never seen anything like this before. Well, right. They were going on long before we had live transmissions from the helicopter. We just couldn't show it to you. And racial disparity in this country has been going on forever. I grew up in Detroit. I was in the riots in '67. I know what it's like. I lived through the Watts riots of '92 in Los Angeles. I know what that's like. Or the Rodney King riots, I should say, in '92. I know what that's like. All people are asking is to be heard. Listen to me. Understand where I'm coming from. If Drew Brees on this day chooses to put the flag in, or patriotism, he's missed the point. When Colin Kaepernick took a knee and it became you are disrespecting the United States of America, you missed the point. That's not the point. But Rob, the problem is, and you've lived it, so you know it, when anyone has this uncomfortable conversation, all of the lines quickly become blurred. Now there are different elements. We have to consider different things, and the message is lost. I believe in this case, the message will not be lost. But it's getting us a long time to get here. And when you have Drew Brees saying that, he's just tone deaf. I mean, that's really what it is. He's tone deaf. I have to tell you, I would put my hand over my heart for the national anthem. That's not what we're talking about today.
That is not. And that's the point, Fred, 100%. And that's why his teammates have pushed back. He's gotten a brunt. Fred, he was supposed to be the next star on television on NBC.
Yes.
I'm not so sure that's going to happen unless there's some other conversation that goes on from Drew Brees. Because, as you said, It's tone deaf. He's not listening. That's not what this conversation. How many times did Colin Kaepernick and people have to say it's not about the flag? How many?
Rob, forget that, because the minute one person said it was about the flag, it was about the flag, and it never was about that. And the saddest part of all of this, no matter where you live in the country and how you feel, you saw what happened in Minneapolis. Drew Brees, like so many people, was speaking off the cuff and didn't realize, didn't understand he said anything inflammatory. He didn't think he said anything wrong. He was just talking about how he feels. And now he has put himself in this position. The problem is people aren't looking at this and understanding what it means. His teammates denounced him. They sent out tweets. LeBron James denounced him today. He sent out a tweet. So the issue here, not only for Drew Brees, but really for everybody, is to stay on point, walk in someone else's shoes, and understand what this is about. Because the majority of people in this country, Rob Parker, don't understand what it's like to walk in your shoes. That's really it. And that's why in the top of the show, you're yelling. You're yelling like so many other people are yelling. And all you're saying is, listen to me.
Right. I live it every day. Why can't you listen to what we're trying to tell you? I'm going to throw out the number. I hope you guys can chime in. I'd love to hear from you. 877-99 on Fox. 877-996-6369. Rob G., do we also have, you have a couple of tweets from his teammates?
Yeah, well, the biggest tweets came out from his superstar wide receiver, Michael Thomas. Now, he's broke a lot of records with him on the field, but
Yes.
It seems like they may have some issues off the field. Now, after Drew Brees issued that statement or said that statement on Yahoo Finance, Michael Thomas wasn't too happy. Here's a few of his tweets. He don't know no better is one. The other, we don't care if you don't agree, and whoever else. How about that?
So he just was like, I don't care anymore. And this is kind of the point I'm making is that, Fred, we will not let this be hijacked. We won't. We will not be have them change our narrative, try to throw a smoke screen, have us start talking about it, and everybody holding up their grandfathers and their fathers who were in the military and all that, because our grandfathers and fathers and great-great-grandfathers were in the military as well. Yes. Believe it or not. Black people are in the military.
Is that
true? I just
true,
gave
Rob?
you the number.
Wait.
40% are black and brown people, minorities in the military. 40.
You mean they fought for this country, Rob?
Yes. And here we are in 2020, Fred, still looking for the same thing.
You talk about changing the narrative. Let me give you an example of how that happened very early on as the protest took place. And I'll use Los Angeles. All of a sudden, the protests began. And I have to tell you, living in this city, the second largest market in the country, for the most part, they were very peaceful. People were respectful, and they were protesting, and they were making a statement. And then you had about 5% of the people who just decided, well, this is a wonderful time to start looting and rioting.
Yeah.
And at that point, Rob, what happened? All of the television coverage went right to the looting and rioting.
Yep.
All of it. At that moment, it was easy. If you don't have a stake in the game and you're just observing and you're trying to figure out what's going on, it was easy to have those lines blurred. Because all of a sudden, you look over here and people are out of control and they're breaking windows and they're stealing things. That wasn't the point. Now, in L.A., again, things have calmed down dramatically. The protests have been peaceful, and they have been from people of all color. And everybody is, and I believe this go-round, this time, this outcry, I think can make a bit of a difference. We had somebody on the other day, and I said, what's the end game? And it was a professor from USC, and he said, with all due respect, there is no end game. It's just awareness. It's just getting people. it took a long time to get this way, and he said it's going to take a long time for people to change.
All right. We want to hear from you. What did you think of Drew Brees' comments? Is he missing the point in all of this? So 877-996-6369. We'll continue the conversation with you.
Let's do it. Coop in Seattle, you're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What do you got, man?
Well, Fred and Rob, what's going on? Drew Brees is hard, and that's what I mean by it, is that I'm a veteran. My daddy was a veteran. My uncle was a veteran who lost his life 30 days before his last deployment in Vietnam. So blacks have done a lot for the country, and for him to make, just like you said, Freddie, was just tone deaf.
Yep.
And really, that's all I have to say is that the way we will work on changing this racism is that we got to have open and honest dialogue between black and white folks.
And Coop,
No
no
doubt about it.
Hey, Coop, and let me tell you this, and I learned this.
But hey,
when you have that dialogue, Coop, tell me if I'm right, because I've learned this. Sometimes that dialogue is uncomfortable, but you have to have it.
No
Fred,
doubt.
it's like if you got a scab and you pull that scab off. It hurts like hell.
Yeah.
But you got to do it sometimes.
Thanks, Coop. Appreciate the call.
And thank you for your service, Coop. Jeremy in Texas, you're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. Jeremy, what you got?
Hey, Rob, I know you're passionate about this, so give me a second to explain, okay? I don't think Brees has lost track of the subject. I think he's right on point, but here's the deal. I think the way the question was asked to him, what he thought about people kneeling on the field during games, I think he automatically assumed they're talking about during the national anthem. The problem is that everybody needs to separate these two things, the freaking national anthem and what has occurred, because they're two different narratives, or two totally different things. If Colin Kaepernick, the NFL honestly needs to make a time frame after the national anthem to recognize any kind of protest that goes on. Give them a whole 2 minutes.
Hold on. I'm going to stop you because I do not believe that. I don't for 1 second. What he does on his own time, separate, should be allowed. What rules about whether or not I kneel down or not? I just don't even understand. That is not what the issue is. That's why everybody's disappointed in Drew Brees that he would even talk about that. He could have, just because they asked you a question about it, could say, that's what I'm not talking about. Let's talk about the people in the street. Let's talk about unarmed black men being killed by white police. He could have said that. He didn't have to go there. That's an easy bailout to distract you. Go ahead, Fred.
All right, Jeremy. Well, thanks for the call. Yeah, that's really the issue with the Drew Brees comment, Rob. I think you nailed it. I'm going to ask you a question. Okay. I don't want to talk about that. But Jeremy in Texas, and again, thanks for calling, Jeremy. There you go. That's how the lines get blurred. Right there. That was a perfect example. And he was trying to explain it.
Right.
But the lines are blurred. When someone asks you a question today about the national anthem or flags, we're not discussing that. That's not the issue at hand.
Exactly. And there's a time and a place, Fred. That's the wrong time to bring this up because we already have the pain of the Kaepernick stuff about how the narrative was changed to the flag. That's why nobody wants to hear about that. Colin Kaepernick was right 4 years ago. All right.